All right, here we go. Calling it right now. The Horseback Riders Glinda. No time to waste. There's a brand new trailer for Wicked for Good. Welcome to Teacup for One. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and it is an exciting day, friends. The Wicked for Good trailer has finally landed. You might ask, Matt, were you at one of those screenings where they gave out free posters and pins? No. If I knew they were giving out free posters and pins, I probably would have been there, but I wasn't. But you know what? I got to watch it online. And actually, if you want to see what that reaction looked like, I posted the video. I made really funny faces, which I honestly promise you were not intentional. Apparently, that's just what I look like when I'm watching things that really excite me. But here we are, friends. Speaking of stuff that really excites me, I am so thrilled because we get to do another classic Teacup for One trailer review and reaction, and one night only. I don't know why I'm holding the monkey like this, but this time only, we're also going to be doing an Easter egg hunt. I don't really do Easter egg hunts in these videos very often. I feel like I'm not observant enough, but I saw a few things. So maybe they're Easter eggs. We'll talk about that. You might also notice that the picture and audio quality is different. I'm in a hurry to make this video. I'm really busy the next few days and I have so many thoughts. So forgive me, I'm using a different camera. I'm recording in a different way, but in the interest of Wicked, let's just dive right into it. Oh, also, if you're new here, the videos aren't usually this low quality. I mean, the content usually is, but like the picture usually looks a bit better. But why don't you subscribe while you're here? Just do it. If you don't like what you see, you can unsubscribe later. Okay, let's watch the trailer. Oh, exciting. Okay, we're going to pause it. So first off, we got my favorite part of the teaser trailer, the window cracked. No, that was just a meme. Although, apparently it was a meme that John M. Chu thought was worthy of sharing on his story. So that's my claim to fame. Let's talk about what we're actually seeing here. So first off, this is clearly Emerald City. Glinda appears to be in like a bridal suite, I'm thinking, but in the Emerald City. And I've got to say, this is not what I ever expected the interior of the Emerald City to look like. Like, I also didn't expect them to have a bridal suite. One thing that I did notice in the sequence that is kind of cool is that Glinda's bubble device is just parked on the balcony, which actually makes me think that this is less bridal suite and more Glinda just living in the Emerald City, which is really interesting because I never really gave any thought as to where Glinda was living or hanging out after defying gravity. And of course, it makes total sense. I mean, she would live in the Emerald City. Although I would have thought she'd live in the north. Anyway, let's keep watching.
In before the monkeys spot
move. Now, do we think this vocalization is non-diegetic, or is that just like how Elphaba says hello now? Oh, okay, wait. Vintage Universal logo. I want to pause it for a second. I have a lot of things to say about the Vintage Universal logo. This is something that I've actually been thinking a lot about since it first showed up in Wicked Part 1. Because honestly, when the first Wicked film opened with the Vintage Universal logo, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't sold on it. Because, I mean, obviously, MGM's Wizard of Oz came out in 1939, and it was produced by MGM. We all know that movie opens with the iconic Leo the Lion going like... And it's an iconic moment. So opening this film with a vintage logo from another studio, I don't know. I guess I was scared it was indicative that this movie would be gimmicky. Kind of like what came to mind right away was how in Disney's Oz the Great and Powerful, the Kansas sequences of that movie are shot in black and white, like not even sepia, black and white. And that didn't serve any narrative purpose the same way that the sepia tones in Wizard of Oz, MGM's, served a narrative purpose. A very emotionally effective narrative purpose. When she goes into color, it's magical. But when James Franco's Wizard went into a world of color and then the aspect ratio changed from like letterbox to widescreen, it felt gimmicky. It didn't seem like it was serving a narrative purpose. It just felt like it was there for nostalgia, to remind you of something that was really cool in that movie you loved, which was the reason you came to see this movie. So I was scared that this would be in that camp, but I don't think it is. In fact, I think the use of the Vintage Universal logo is an absolutely brilliant move because Wicked, in every form, going back to Gregory Maguire's original novel, Wicked is so tied to the world of the MGM film, if only by merit of the fact that the witch is a green-skinned woman. So there is something very cool and meta about opening this film with the 1930s Universal logo, almost as though to say, you know, MGM told you their version of The Wizard of Oz, but us folks here at the studio across the street are going to tell you our version of the same story, the real story. Anyway, I've spoken way too much about a logo. We're only 20 seconds into this trailer. Let's keep watching. It's 3 minutes long. Okay. All right, so apparently Elphaba has moved into a treehouse. Oh, and we're seeing anti-Elphaba propaganda. Nothing new, but actually I'm going to pause here as well. All right, a few things. Yeah, the first viewing, I was thrown off by her living in a treehouse, like a cute little hobbit, but not a cute little hobbit, an empowered green witchy woman. But it's kind of like Glinda in the Emerald City. I'm realizing I never gave much thought in Wicked lore as to where Elphaba was hanging out after defying gravity before she got the lease to her very own castle. And what I love about this is it's really hitting home that during this era of Elphaba's life, like she is very much a fugitive. She is very much in hiding. Outside of that, I really love the production design here. Like the twisty turniness of the branches are a beautiful mirror to her broom. But what I really want to draw attention to is this propaganda poster of Elphaba. Now, the propaganda Wicked Witch imagery is something that we saw literally like within the first few frames of the first movie. We even see one on the ground at the crime scene of her melting. But there's something very different about this poster because this is showing us a younger Elphaba. Like, yes, she is still being branded as the Wicked Witch, but visually, this is nowhere near the intensity of what we see when we get that giant banner in Munchkinland. And what I think is so cool about this is it says a lot about how Elphaba's image is literally being skewed, warped, and again, literally blown out of proportion over time. Going from this to this is just such bold, striking visual storytelling. This is why we love John M. Chu. Also, Easter egg alert, there's poppies on the flyer. Okay, Glinda's trying on a crown, probably for the first time. Pretty excited. We got some monkey action. Okay, here she is, our queen. We got to pause. Our queen, Michelle Yeoh, back as Madame Morrible. There are two super exciting things for me, as the Oz fan that I am, about this shot. First, obviously, it's a twister. It's a twister. It's a twister. We had a lot of classic Wizard of Oz images in the first film, but seeing this one really hits home differently. But also, Easter egg, because this shot of our queen, Michelle Yeoh, at the window is so visually similar to that iconic moment when Margaret Hamilton was like, "Fly, my pretties, fly, fly." And I think it's a brilliant visual parallel because it's putting this movie's Wicked Witch in that same visual position of power. It's so smart. Okay, let's keep watching. All right. Oh, look how happy she is. Oh, and there he is, Prince Fiyero. Okay, time to pause. Time to pause. I know just a few seconds, but there's a lot to unpack here. Now, not to get too spoilery, but I very much appreciate the work that Paul Tazwell has done within Fiyero's Captain of the Guard costume as kind of a little bit of visual foreshadowing. Oh, this is probably an opportune moment for me to say, I'm going to do my best, but this video is inevitably going to have a lot of spoilers. So do with that information what you will. I'm going to do my best, but anyway. Also, I'm clocking that Fiyero. Like, just look at that medallion that he's wearing around his neck. It looks very similar to the medallion that Frank Morgan Wizard gives to Burt Lahr, Cowardly Lion in MGM's movie. So I'm wondering if we do get some variation of that scene in Wicked for good, is the lion only getting a medal because the wizard just has a bunch of them lying around? Because that would be so sad. It means so much to the dear, sweet, cowardly lion, and it's literally just the wizard pawning off his garbage to this poor cat with anxiety. But that's very on brand for the Wizard of Wicked. Not even just the Wizard of Wicked. The Wizard in general. That man is a fraud. Oh, the next thing that we see. It's a very short sequence, but there is so much visually packed into it. This sequence of Fiyero pointing a blaster at Elphaba in the trees. There's two things I want to point out here. First, I think there's like a poetic tragedy to the fact that Fiyero is now hunting Elphaba in the woods, potentially the same woods where they first met. But secondly, Easter egg, spoilery Easter egg, a very spoilery Easter egg. I'll try to keep it cryptic. It is very interesting that Fiyero has a blaster in the haunted forest while searching for the Wicked Witch of the West. That's it. Moving on. All right, so we got our first look at Jeff Goldblum as the wizard in this world. Not much to say. I do love his costume. I think there's a really cool visual parallel between the first time we saw that type of top hat and the wizard now. Again, spoilers, but I gave you a warning. But let's just put that aside for a moment because we saw some really cool stuff in these few seconds. Let's rewind a little bit. What I love here is that we are seeing the genesis and the construction of the yellow brick road. Now, this shot of Elphaba touching the bricks was utilized in that first teaser trailer well over a year ago, but it's so thrilling to know that we're finally going to see how that plays into the greater context of the film. And now next, I don't know if this is technically an Easter egg so much as an homage. I want to talk about Elphaba's skywriting here, because this is obviously a throwback to Margaret Hamilton writing Surrender Dorothy. But going back to what I said about the Universal logo, this, I think, is a brilliantly directed moment because it is something familiar but subverted. Because Elphaba isn't writing with clouds, she is like creating negative space within the clouds. So who's to say maybe this is just a legal thing because they're trying to avoid getting too close to the now owned by Warner Brothers MGM movie, but I don't care what the logic is because I do think that this is a brilliant antithesis. This isn't a gimmicky fan service throwback. It's a comment on something that's familiar. And as this movie, Wicked for Good, specifically veers more into the narrative territory of Wizard of Oz, I think that directorial approach of subverting what's familiar is brilliant. It's brilliant. And I think it's what we really need for this movie to stand on its own and flourish. And now, that said, I'm trying to place chronologically when this scene happens, because it clearly doesn't happen on stage. And I do love that as part of Elphaba's journey of anarchy, she is taking to the skies to write stuff like Our Wizard Lies. I'm not sure if that's in the Gregory Maguire book, but I adore it. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out when this happens. Just based on Glinda's costume, I'm thinking this happens or interrupts her speech, like her Evita moment during Thank Goodness. And I don't know, I get the impression that that moment we saw at the beginning of the trailer is the first time the two women speak post Defying Gravity. So I'm inclined to think Elphaba does her skywriting, comes down onto the yellow brick road, says something intimidating to the people of Munchkinland. She'll probably lock eyes with Glinda for a moment and then fly away. That's my prediction. Also, this is one of those blink and you'll miss it moments, but I want to point out that there appears to be an animal that's working on the construction of the yellow brick road. How did that animal get that job? Is this an animal that's being paid fairly for its labor? Or is this one of those animals that's been bullied out of the ability to speak and think freely, and now it's just working for free? It is very much, almost definitely, the latter. This is why we need Elphaba. Moving on. Okay, so this is quite clearly March of the Witch Hunters, even though it's giving Mob Song from Beauty and the Beast a little bit as well. All right, this moment. This is very full circle and very special because I'm going to pause it right here. This is the first visual that was ever released of Ariana as Glinda. At this point, years ago. You probably remember, if you've been on the Wicked side of the internet since this movie started releasing anything and everything, the very first images we had were that image of Cynthia in Defying Gravity, which we saw towards the end of the first film, as well as this image of Ariana, which I'm guessing is close to the end of this movie. Moving on. You know what? I did not expect to see this brochure back, but I'm so happy that it's back because this is a beautifully earned moment that speaks so much to where these characters are and where they came from. And I am loving Cynthia's performance here. It's obviously just like a short little snippet, but I just adore this quiet intimacy because it is such a beautiful contrast to, you know, how loud and angry Elphaba eventually gets in the second half. She's just having a personal moment where she's reflecting on missing her friend. And I think that's really beautiful. Yeah. Oh, and also that shot of the two of them in the poppy field, that's not going to be in this movie. It's not going to be in this movie. They're just always going to tease us with this shot. That shot is this movie's Jitterbug.
Think of what we could do together.
I have no idea when that scene comes into play. I do like that we're getting Think of What We Could Do Together one more time. Oh, okay, wait. A lot just happened. Watch this. Gonna pause. Glinda's wedding. We saw this teased in the first teaser trailer. I guess that's why it's called a teaser trailer. So clearly we're going to actually get the wedding scene in this movie. And Glinda's dress has given Princess Di's dress a run for its money. I mean, we thought the Emerald City only had one impressive train. That was until we saw Glinda's wedding dress. But I didn't even write that one down. I just came up with it on the spot. Go me. Also, what's the deal with all those butterflies? Are they magic? Are they animals? I don't. Anyway, I want to talk about this shot of the witch's castle because it triggered so much joy in me. Now, I know Wicked is its own film, and I have been very pro don't recreate MGM's Oz, but at the same time, this is just such a beautifully constructed shot. And like the imagery evokes Margaret Hamilton's Witch's Castle so much. I am adoring the use of color here and the cinematography. And I am never going to forgive the Academy for not nominating Alice Brooks for Wicked Part 1. So I am so hoping that this is her year and this is her film, because I feel like the cinematography in the first Wicked movie and inevitably in this movie is absolutely stunning. And there's just something about the composition and the use of color in this shot that I love. Also, who is the cloaked person that keeps riding this horse? I have a theory. We'll get to it. Moving on. Okay. Wait. We need to talk about something. Because the first time I watched this trailer, we saw the shot of Dorothy's shoes. Again, we saw that in the teaser trailer. And it was very much in the Emerald City. So I think my brain just automatically thought, oh, this is that same moment, but from a different angle. I just realized she's stepping in a puddle. Those are Dorothy's shoes stepping in a bleeping puddle. She is walking through Melted Witch. The absolute audacity of this farm girl to both unalive somebody with water and then walk through their melted corpse wearing the shoes of her sister, who she also unalived. Huh. Is Wicked making me go anti-Dorothy? No, I can't. I can't be one of those people. No. Ooh, okay. But while we're here, let's keep talking Dorothy. This shot I found really intriguing because it's Dorothy walking down the yellow brick road, presumably towards the beginning of her journey, but she's not accompanied by anyone we recognize. There's no Scarecrow, Lion, Tin Man yet, because presumably she hasn't met them. She's obviously in Munchkin Land, but also, why isn't Glinda telling her to follow the yellow brick road? And I actually think this is an Easter egg, or if not an Easter egg, something that is directly lifted from L. Frank Baum's original book. Because in L. Frank Baum's book, when Dorothy arrives in Munchkin Land, she is not greeted by like 200 plus singing and dancing munchkins doing a lavish Hollywood style production number. She's only greeted by 3 citizens of Munchkin Land, who then introduce her to the Good Witch of the North. And you'll notice here, Dorothy is being led down the yellow brick road by 1, 2, 3 munchkins. So I think that came from the book, the original book. And that's kind of cool. All right, moving on. Here we go. Okay, and this. Hold on. What? Why is there a disco? Why is there a disco dance party in the Wizard's throne room? And furthermore, why is Glinda there? I can only assume that this is wonderful. They call me wonderful. Obviously, we can't hear the orchestrations. When I see this, though, I'm thinking 1970s disco. I'm thinking The Wiz. But that's totally out of time for pseudo the time period that I think Wicked is supposed to take place in. So the lights are beautiful, throwing me off a little bit. But you know what else is throwing me off? Glinda being there. But it also makes total sense because wonderful is the spoilers. Wonderful is the scene when the wizard is trying to win back Elphaba. So I think it actually makes total sense that Glinda would be recruited as a tactic towards that goal. Because it kind of makes me sad that Glinda would do that. Anyway, let's keep watching. All right. We are back in this mystery space. The mystery space where I'm going to pause it. The mystery space where Glinda said, think of what we can do together. Now, I wish I could be one of those deep diving YouTubers that like identifies what space this is taking place in. I'm thinking maybe it's Emerald City, but then I thought I saw some gears. So it's making me think, are they inside a time dragon? Probably not, but maybe they're inside a time dragon. Who knows? All right, let's keep going. All right, here we go. This is a big thing. I'm sorry. I know it wasn't very long. This opening shot that has broken so many people's brains from the first film, post-melting the mystery horseback rider. I am calling it now. That horseback rider is Glinda. We know that this scene is post-melting. We know that it's not Fiyero because of reasons. We also know that Glinda is both there to witness the melting of Elphaba and post-melting goes to the Emerald City. How would she get there? She's not going to walk. She can't be seen traveling via bubble from the Wicked Witch's castle. She's going to take the horse. That's Glinda. It's Glinda riding the horse. Calling it now. Moving on. All right. Okay, I got to pause. I have to pause on this absolutely beautiful image just for a moment. This is impulsive, but I think this might be my favorite shot in the whole trailer. And hear me out. It's because in this shot, it's bridging the worlds of Wicked and Wizard of Oz in a way that is evoking the best kind of nostalgia while reimagining and realizing these four characters in a capacity that's like never been done to this caliber. It means so much to me to have a realistic looking lion as the Cowardly Lion, but just also the detailing that we're seeing on these costumes. It's evoking Denslow's illustrations. It's evoking Adrian's costume designs from the MGM movie. It has like echoes of the costumes from Wicked on stage. And it is just so intrinsically Oz. And I love it so much. I love it so much. Let's keep watching. And oh, look, a shot of Fiyero after seeing a shot of Dorothy's quartet. That's interesting. Again, no spoilers. Okay. You know what's hilarious? It took me a few rewatches of the trailer to realize what exactly is happening here because we have a slew of animals just wreaking havoc. But do you realize where they are wreaking havoc? That is Glinda's wedding. Elphaba is unleashing these animals onto Glinda's wedding. So that wedding drama is going to be hot. But more so than that, you know what really stands out to me? There's a Shoebill stork. And I have feelings about that Shoebill stork. None of them are good. Shoebill storks terrify me. Why are they in Oz? That's it. Moving on. All right. Shoebill stork. Glinda gets her bubble. She looks super determined. And now Elphaba's, I don't have a ton to say about that. All right, but this moment, I love this moment.
And I have so many friends.
I love this line delivery. I think it's very different from anything that I've seen from a Glinda on stage in Wicked, even though the lines are lifted directly from that script. This is adding levity. And what I love about it is that it's showing that the dynamic between Elphaba and Glinda is still there, in spite of everything that those two have been through. This is the same energy that they had when they were roommates at Shiz. And so even though this is a really sad, heartbreaking scene, infusing that little bit of joy is what I think is going to make it hit home even harder. But we'll see. Maybe it'll make me cry. Maybe it won't. I want to talk about the dress that she's wearing, because the dress confuses me a bit, because this is almost 100% the For Good scene. And traditionally, at least on stage, Glinda is in her full finale gear, which would be her bubble dress. But this is not the bubble dress. So actually, this is just furthering my theory that the horseback rider is Glinda, because Glinda could not ride a horse wearing that beautiful bubble dress. You know what she could ride a horse wearing? This dress. Horseback rider's Glinda. That's it. Oh, it is also worth noting that Elphaba is crying. And you know what's not happening? Her face is not melting, unlike some other Wicked Witch of the Wests that we could name. All right, moving on. Here we go. Okay, so this is a super quick moment. Elphaba's setting fire to some stuff. I have no way of knowing why she's working with fire. Maybe she's practicing how to make a grand entrance in Munchkinland. But what is interesting to me is that clearly now the monkeys are on her side. Whereas at the point when she's crashing the wedding, Glinda says the monkeys will find you or whatever. So when Wicked for Good starts, the monkeys are apparently still under control of the wizard, of the Emerald City. So it's just making me wonder narratively, how are the monkeys going to end up aligning with Elphaba? My instinct says that maybe it happens at Glinda's wedding. Like maybe the Emerald City guards and security are also preoccupied with keeping the wedding safe, that they're not paying attention to all these animals in captivity. That's why Elphaba releases them. That's why they crash the wedding. And that's why the terrifying Shoebill Stork shows up for some reason. Hopefully he has nothing to do with Elphaba's army, because that would be enough for me to walk out of the theater. I'd be terrified. What was I saying? Yeah, I would put my money on that being the moment when the monkeys start to align with Elphaba. We'll see. Moving on. Ooh, it says I'm never going to get over the disco throne room. Off to see the wizard, and Elphaba's flying. November 21st. Woo! All right. There we go, friends. Our very first look at Wicked for Good. So much there, so much to unpack. Honestly, I thought this trailer would be a lot more Dorothy focused. I don't know why. My instinct has just been telling me that this movie is going to focus more on Dorothy, but after seeing this trailer, I don't think that's the case. I'm even now veering back towards thinking maybe we're never going to see Dorothy's face. It might just be like shots of her feet, shots from behind. But they are also releasing Dorothy dolls. That has more or less been confirmed. So I feel like we have to see her face. Anyway, I'm reading too much into why there is or isn't Dorothy. I think the main thing here is that this movie is clearly focusing on the relationship between Elphaba and Glinda. And that's the heart of Wicked. That is how it should be, especially since this movie is subtitled For Good. So I really feel like this movie, just based on this 2.5-ish minute look, is 100% on track. And with that, friends, this concludes yet another episode of Teacup for One. Let me know in the comment section down below, what was your favorite part of the trailer and what are you most looking forward to seeing in this new film? And if you want to be the first to know when I release more videos talking about Oz, Wicked, Disney, Shakespeare, Cats, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. It is so easy. All you have to do is click on my face. Thanks for joining me today, everyone. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and that's the T Cup for One.